It is the first time we have done this, and we hope it garners the attention it deserves in the capitals most affected. Joining us to reveal the 2023 time on the Doomsday Clock are Siegfried Hecker, Chair of the Bulletin's Board of Sponsors, Director Emeritus of the Los Alamos National Laboratory, and a Professor of Practice at Texas A&M University and the Middlebury Institute of International Studies at Monterey. Daniel Holtz, Co-Chair of the Science and Security Board and a Professor in the Department of Physics and Astronomy and Astrophysics at the University of Chicago. Sharon Squassoni, Co-Chair of the Bulletin Science and Security Board, Research Professor at the Institute for International Science and Technology Policy at the Elliott School of International Affairs at the George Washington University. Mary Robinson, Chair of the Elders and former President of Ireland. Elbegdor Tsakia, Member of the Elders and former Prime Minister and President of Mongolia. Today, the members of the Science and Security Board move the hands of the Doomsday Clock forward, largely, though not exclusively, because of the mounting dangers in the war in Ukraine. We move the clock forward the closest it has ever been to midnight. It is now 90 seconds to midnight.
Shalom. I would like to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakagadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace to the whole fold that scattered abroad at the four corners of the earth. Okay, so as you all should know, members of the Scientist Security Board have revealed their doomsday clock for 2023. And they're saying that we're 90 seconds away from midnight. So this shows you the times that we're living in. You know, the Bible speaks about the last days, the latter days. And so we're seeing how the conflict between Russia and the Ukraine, the United States, and also other countries in the world, you know, that conflict is escalating and it's not getting any better. And so that's what they're basing this off of. You know, when you take a look and see what's going on in the world, it's not looking too good. It's not. This is Ephesians 5:15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Wherefore, be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. So you're supposed to see what's going on around the world. You know, pay attention to the news, because that's how you gauge the times that we're living in. Okay? And be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit. So wine represents philosophies, and majority of people out there, you know, their minds are shifted towards other things that are ultimately not going to matter. And so a lot of people are going to be caught off guard when stuff really starts to escalate, you know? You see, these ICBM missiles that these countries possess, they're going to be used. You have people out there that think that they'll never be used. But I've said this time and time again that World War III is prophesied about in the Bible. And so that's what the world is headed to. We're headed towards a global world war. And so once that really kicks off, then that's when Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, that's when he's going to step in and bring that end to it. So this is Revelation chapter 12. Let me read this real quick. Revelation 12 and 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. And so Michael the archangel, he's the angel of war, and he's going to be fighting alongside with Yahushua when he makes his second return. And so when Yahushua comes back, that's when Esau is going to be put down. That's when he's going to lose his power, because that's the world that we're living in today. You know, Esau, he's in charge. Verse 8, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. So it's gonna be unanimous. It's gonna be a unanimous decision, so to say, when the Lord makes his return. Because how could you really stand up to the Most High's technology? These so-called UFOs, they have technology that's light years ahead of what the technology man has. All right? When you look at the UFO sightings, the videos of them rather, you can see how they zigzag, they move zigzag, they stop on a dime, they go forwards, they go backward. You see, man doesn't have that technology. And some people try to explain that, oh, those UFO sightings that you're seeing, it's some secret technology from China or from Russia, when really that's the Most High's angels that are flying around in the sky, and they're just scouting. You see, the time is gonna come where they're gonna display their full capability, and that's when, you know, the nations that are fighting in World War III, they're gonna put aside their differences and come together to try to fight these, and I'll say it like this: these aliens, these alien invasions. You see, because that's what they're gonna look at them as. That's what they're gonna think. But the prophets have been saying this for a while now, a long time, that so-called UFOs are the angels of the Most High. You know, the scriptures also refer to them as clouds, mountains. And so this is very significant information. So I just wanted to read Revelation chapter 12 real quick. So next precept, this is Zephaniah 1 and 14. The great day of the Lord is near. It is near, and hastens greatly. Even the voice of the day of the Lord. The mighty men shall cry there bitterly. Verse 15, that day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. So what is going to do that? It's going to be the ICBM missiles. You see, the Most High, he put the spirit on these scientists to develop these nuclear missiles. You see, because that's a very difficult task to do. You have to be intelligent to make such a weapon when you think about it. And so that's how you know it was something that was divine. You know, the Most High, he put the spirit on these nations to develop these weapons to ultimately go to war when the time is right. And we're approaching that time of World War III. But you know, we're not going to see the destruction of America, the destruction of Babylon the Great, until Revelation 13 and 16 is fulfilled. The MARK. You understand? And they just had the WEF last week. Yeah, last week. And they spoke about, you know, the central bank digital currency and how ultimately they want to bring in a cashless society. And so all roads lead to the MOTB. You see, these nations, they come together and they have their meetings and they discuss what the plan is, what their agenda is, and they have a timeline for when they want to fulfill their agendas. And so, like I said, man, we're living in the last days. People don't understand biblical prophecy and they don't try to line up what's going on in the world with biblical prophecy. But that's the job of a prophet. You see, these Christian churches, they're never going to admit that America is going to be wiped out, because what would that mean for them? Who would want to admit their own demise? And that's why you have to have the Holy Spirit in order to understand these prophecies, in order to understand these scriptures, man. And you really have to be an Israelite, man. You really have to be an Israelite. And if you want to go deeper, you have to be of the elect. Because you're going to have our people, and when I say our people, I'm speaking about so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans who make up the 12 tribes of Israel. You're going to have our people that give pushback, and they're not going to be able to see what we're saying. You know, this is not for everybody. You know, that's Romans 11:7. Okay? So when Yahushua makes his return, he's only coming back for the elect. He's only coming for the elect. You know, the scriptures speak about salvation. So what are you going to need salvation from? You're going to need salvation from the destruction that's getting ready to take place on this earth. World War III, you know, famine, you know, Jacob's trouble. You see, this is biblical prophecy, man. And so when it gets real out here, that's when you're gonna see that the prophets were right. And we're seeing how the oven is turning up, so to say. You know, the writing is on the wall. So if people want to be in denial, that's on them. Where was I? Verse 16. A day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. And you know, back in the ancient world, you know, cities had high walls that protected the cities, right? And so these countries around the world, they're going to be invaded. They're going to be invaded by war. Now, World War III, it's going to take place in key areas, key parts of the world. You know, it's not going to be a situation where the whole world is destroyed, all right? But, you know, mainly America is going to be wiped out. You know, the Bible speaks about the lake of fire. And that lake of fire is referring to America just being completely engulfed in flames. It's not speaking about hell like these churches, Christian churches, try to break down and say. And so that's what we have to look forward to, you know, because it's inevitable. You can't escape this. You can't fight this. This is prophecy. How are you going to go against the Lord's will? A day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. I will bring distress upon men, and they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. So a lot of people, they're going to get caught up in the destruction, man. The next precept, and this will be my final one. 2 Ezra 7:43. But the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of of the immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past. And so when Yahweh Shai sets up his kingdom on the face of the earth, you know, that's when the Israelites are going to be under the new covenant. And the significance of the new covenant is that we're not going to sin anymore. The Israelites are going to be perfect, you know, starting with the elect, because the elect are going to be the first fruits that were saved from the destruction. You understand? And so when you're under the new covenant, like I said, we're not going to sin anymore. And so the scriptures say that for the wages of sin is death. So therefore, we're not going to die. We're going to be immortal. And in the kingdom of heaven, it's going to be a renewed world. The earth is going to be set in order, true order. Let me continue reading. Intemperance is at an end, infidelity is cut off, righteousness is grown, and truth is sprung up. Then shall no man be able to save him that is destroyed, nor to oppress him that has gotten the victory. I answered then and said, this is my first and last saying, that it had been better not to have given the earth unto Adam, or else, when it was given him, to have restrained him from sinning. Because that was the start of the end. That was the start of the ending right there. Because before the situation with Adam and Eve and the serpent in the garden, which the serpent was a man, there was no sin. You know, we lived on forever. We didn't die. And so that's what we have coming back to us in the kingdom of heaven under the new covenant. Things are going to go back to the way that they were before. These are some very interesting times that we're living in. They had the WWEF last week, right? So world powers, man, they're getting together and they're trying to devise a plan to bring in their NWO so that they can stay on top, so that they can stay in the power seat, so that they can have full, total control. But in the end, it's all going to backfire. So I'm going to end off on that. Hope y'all found this video edifying. Shalom to the elect.